very proud to say that I have the endorsement of several unions, 1199, 32BJ, Hotel Trades, Motels, Working Families Party, amongst other, UFCW, TWU, which my father has been a member of, he retired from the union. And you know, when I hear that unions aren't hiring in our community, the reality is that when 32BJ goes door knocking, they're door knocking on 3,000 doors in our district. And those are members strong that work in our community and are reflected in our community. When the Hotel Motel Trades comes to our community, they're knocking on their members' doors. When 1199 comes to our community, they're knocking on the members' doors. We all went through a screening process. We all answered a lot of questions. And that is why I am endorsed by them, because I'm the one that's going to have progressive politics in the city council. We must ensure that we have someone that's going to hit the ground running. We will start negotiating on the city budget a week after the election. March 1st, we are already beginning to negotiate on the budget, and I know that. I know that because I've worked elbow to elbow with a lot of the council members that have endorsed me. And I'm going into the city council, if you elect me as your city council representative, to hit the door, kick the door open and hit the ground running, because we need someone that knows what they're doing in City Hall. And we need it now. It's a hard time. And people talk about a tough economic times. New York City is an engine, and regardless of our economy, we're still going to have to pass a budget of $60 billion. And you can rest assured that I'm going to be an advocate for you to bring back our fair share and not the crumbs to our district.
Thank you.
With the elected officials that we presently have, and as your city council member, I'd like to bring together those resources that we have in our community. Is really taking back Roosevelt Avenue. Roosevelt Avenue does not belong to the pimps, it does not belong to the prostitution, it does not belong to the gangs. It belongs to us. It belongs to the business owners that are trying to survive there. It belongs to the young people. It belongs to the working class that has to take the 7 line, which I'm very grateful that my father retired from just 3 weeks ago, the very 7 line that he worked on for 25 years. I understand that we need to take Roosevelt Avenue back. How do we take Roosevelt Avenue back? First off, we have to clean it up. Clean it up from the drugs, clean it up from the prostitution, work with our precincts, ensuring that we have as many officers as we can on Roosevelt Avenue so we don't have the spillage of crime over onto the side streets, because it happens. It's the reality. We need to work on the lighting. I would love to work with the Department of Transportation to change the type of lamps and lighting that we have on Roosevelt Avenue. I live off of the Roosevelt Avenue corridor in Corona. And as a woman, as someone who gets home very late, I am sometimes very concerned about how I'm going to get home if that one light is out. It makes a difference. Crime does not like light. Crime is usually where it's dark, where it's kind of shady. That's where we will see more of the mugging. That's where we will see more of the irregular behavior. And we all know, because we all have worked on the Roosevelt Avenue corridor, especially these last couple of weeks, handing out flyers. I think we've all been there. And if I'm handing out a flyer promoting my campaign and trying to get my message out of unity, I do not want a woman next to me or a man next to me talking about chicas, chicas, because we all know what that is. And I don't want that in my community any longer. This is not about chicas, chicas. This is about jobs, jobs.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is a straight yes, no question. Mr. Moya, yes. Do you have a library card?
Yes, I have one since I was...
Queen's library card?
Queen's library card.
Okay, Mr. Erado? Julissa?
Yes, Ms. Perry, my kindergarten teacher, helped me get it. She's right there.
Mr. Dixon?
Yes.
Okay.
In all 5 rows.
In all 5 rows. What would you do specifically to make sure that we keep library hours up, that we expand Langston Hughes Library, that we build East Elmhurst Library, that we expand Corona Library? What are your plans to do specifically for these 3 libraries in the immediate community that we live in? Anybody could jump.
Well, when it comes to the libraries, when we originally had the first debate with the mayor talking about he wanted to eliminate days and he wanted to eliminate hours, I was one of the first people to stand right outside of this library and said, you can't do this to our library. See, the mayor doesn't understand the importance of our libraries in this city. The library isn't just somewhere where people come to enjoy a book, which is really what a lot of people think. No, this library, especially this one in particular, it is a cultural center. It is where we learn about our history. It's also an after-school program. It's a counseling, a referral program. There's a whole host of things. You could come, and I invite you all. There's some wonderful concerts under the stars outside. But we also have to be responsible and understand that we have to advocate for additional funding. It is not just about coming to this library now and sitting here on this panel, but it's about knowing Andrew Jackson, knowing Mr. Crow, and understanding the needs and putting real issues before our community. And being able to allot capital funds to the expansion. If we need a new air conditioning system, these buildings are not run on just the small budgets that they have. So I'm committed to appropriating the appropriate capital funding to expand both the Corona Library, which is already in talks, and as a city council member, we talked about, as a chief of staff to the former city council member, there's already capital monies allotted for the Corona Library. And we also have some conversations with the director over Ms. Dent for the East Elmhurst Library. And there's other conversations that we're having with Andrew Jackson. This is real things, conversations that are happening right now. And I'm asking you to allow me the opportunity to continue the growth that I have done as the chief of staff and with the experience, because we need to hit the ground running. And that's one of the things that I'm asking you as my community, to give me your vote so that I can represent where we do have a large voter turnout. Because as I remember, February 5th, we voted in a primary for our president. So we could definitely come out and vote in February. And I'm hoping that we can come out in droves. I'm hoping to count on your support. I believe that in this economic times, many of you may have heard the speaker's address today. And the reality is that there's some things there that really make sense for our city. When it comes to revenues, I think that the component, and I would support as a city council member, the component of giving or charging a higher tax percentage to those making $300,000 or more. It makes sense. Oftentimes we see our baseball players driving through Roosevelt Avenue going to Shea Stadium, and I am sure that they're willing to contribute $19,000 to $20,000 more from their millions that they contribute back right to this community. And also, I believe that we need to have our city taxes make sense. And when the speaker stated that she wants to, or that the city should, as a city council, as a body, that we should support kind of a moratorium, we can call it, or repealing the city tax on those that are making $45,000 or less. I know everybody at my campaign office and many of my volunteers sighed. They said that would be great, because a little bit more in everyone's check really makes a difference. And I think we need to have smart ways to bring resources back to our community, supporting our small businesses and ensuring that our small businesses work, because that is where our city is going to survive. It is not about Wall Street, it's about Main Street, it's about North Boulevard, it's about Astoria Boulevard, and it's about Roosevelt Avenue. And those are the people that are going to employ our young people, and that's how we're going to make the city work. Our community boards, yes, we have some great people, you know, we all need to be part of the community boards, but the reality is we have some great community members that have been part of the community board, and many times they often say the same thing. They want to see more change in the community board. As a council member, and this is where experience is so very important, as a council member, we have the opportunity to appoint half of the community board, and the other half is appointed by the borough president. So we should also have a community board that reflects our community and the diversity in our community. And at the same time, also, when I sat down with Giovanna Reed last year, when we were talking about the spending for this year, is understanding that council members can, and they haven't in the past in this district, can afford discretionary funds to the community boards. We will see community boards that function really well in other communities, and they are supported by their elected officials. And I think that it's time that our community boards, both 3 and 4, that are reflected in this community and that represent the people in our community, should ask, and that elected officials, and you know, out of the 15 council members that have endorsed me, the 4 state senators and the 5 assembly members, that we can honestly say, how community boards work in their community, see how we can have and give the support to our community board by allotting discretionary funds so that they can work more efficiently. And if the city is cutting their funds, then we should be there to help them along, because our community boards are a vital part of our community.